We are set for the second and final heat for Event 7, Hulk Hands, presented by Mayhem Athlete, as Sunday at the 2023 Rogue Invitational rolls on at Dell Diamond Stadium in Round Rock, Texas. Thanks for staying with us, everybody. I'm Sean Woodland with former Affiliate Cup champion Adrian Conway, and we have Kiki Dixon down there on the field. Here are your standings coming into the day. Pat Vellner has opened up a 90-point lead over Jeff Adler for first place. Roman Krennikov currently occupies third, courtesy of a tiebreak with Brent Fikowski, but he's only 35 points up on Noah Olson in 10th. Event number 7 will go as written, except for the 75-foot front rack lunge to Zeus.
Yeah, the only difference in audible that we're calling there is that they're going to do 20 stationary lunges with those fat bells on their shoulders. Athletes can put them slightly behind, almost like a back rack position, but that is it. You have seen it. The bike, the shoulder overhead, the lunge, and there and back again style.
Lane assignments for this second and final heat. Roman Krennikov, who currently sits in third place overall, will be in lane number 7. And when you looked at this event, I think his name came to the top of your mind.
A lot like Laura Horvath on the women's side, Roman Krennikov immediately jumped into my mind. It's high-level work capacity. This man loves the bike. The fat bells will present no problem for him. I expect a very smooth, efficient movement, almost like a swing into a push press for Roman. And I think he's going to knock this one out of the park. Now, he's not going to be alone. These other guys are going to be dying to fight for every point available, as we've got a close race, just like you mentioned, Sean, though, for the podium all the way through.
We are underway. 30 calories to begin on the Echo bike. The time to beat belongs to Dallin Pepper at 9:04.75 seconds. They mentioned Roman Krennikov. He's coming off a 7th place finish in the max deadlift event. He had a lift of 565 pounds. But prior to that, he did not have the best Saturday. He had a 15th and a 13th to go along with that 7th place finish. Now he still has some work to do to hang on to that 3rd place spot. Plenty of men still in contention for the podium. Jordan Carl Gumison, Jason Hopper, and Travis Mayer up front here. Krennikov's on that pace as well.
All approaching 20 calories.
Yeah, and a lot of this up into this point, Sean, is the athletes eyeing left to right, pacing just to get started.
If you want to check out the Iron Game Premium stream, you can do it for just $15 today. A lot of fun being had over there. Pat Sherwood and China Cho hosting things. They've had a great group of guests coming through. Check it out, Iron Game Premium. You can go to roguefitness.com/invitational for more information on that. Jordan Carl Gumison is now off the bike, along with everybody else. 30 calories, taking about the same amount of time for all 10 athletes, is now once again the rain starting to pick up.
Oh yeah, here comes the fun, and we see a lot more of the same. Athletes going between the legs, it's a hinge at the hip. They're trying to be as patient as they can. If they're smart with bending that elbow, again, reduce the amount of power that is being taken away by bending your arms early. Right now, again, my eyes on Roman. He's got more of a non-traditional setup as he's actually going outside of the legs. He's opting to go outside of the legs. This allows him to put a little bit more of the onus or pressure on his hips and low back, and he looks smooth. He's utilizing a push press to lock it out at the top.
What are the keys to this event?
And I'll tell you, one of the big keys to me is that you got to ride your threshold, you know, and it started with the bike there. We saw all the men kind of pace based off of each other, where it was very equal to start. This means that they didn't want to sprint to try to one-up each other, because it's too early in a test like this to do so, to take that risk. And in this entire race, you've got to find a rhythm, but specifically here at the Fat Bell, this is a unique object that many of the athletes have not touched before, and they're not going to go unbroken. So find a rhythm in how many you're going to do, and in how long you're going to rest when you do put those things down.
There's Jeff Adler, who currently sits in 2nd place overall with 400 points, but he's 90 points back of Pat Vellner, the man on the right side of your screen. Adler coming off a 9th place finish in the max deadlift.
Now you notice that, oh, Pat just going right to it. Oh, Roman the same, you love it. I thought they were loading up for another ground overhead, Sean, and they finished their final clean and jerk, went right to the shoulders for the lunges.
They will get credit for a rep after every 5 repetitions that they complete on these reverse lunges. So at the 54 rep mark, that's when they will take off towards Mater Hill.
And this was the audible we called, folks, with this event, so that the athletes didn't have to travel through space with a barbell racked on their body. They get an opportunity just to step back, step forward. It's a bit more controlled, and clearly we're battling against the slickness of the grass out there on the field.
Jeff Adler's not your leader. His reps are being counted 1 at a time. The reason they're doing that is because this scoring system was set up originally to count for the walking lunge. Roman Krennikov, Olsen, Fikowski, Vellner, they're all towards the front. And Krennikov and Vellner are going to be the first 2 men off, along with Fikowski and Noah Olsen. And this is big for Noah Olsen because he's in 10th place, but he still has a very realistic shot of putting himself on the podium. But he's got to get some people between himself and Roman Krennikov. But he is towards the lead here is Noah Olsen. He's in the white shirt and red shorts. They'll get credit for 1 more rep. Once they get to the hill, another rep gets the bag to the top, and then 1 more rep coming back to the fat belt. So 3 reps here on this portion of the event. As Krennikov is in the lead, followed by Vellner, Fikowski, and Hopper right there. Here comes Jeff Adler in the gray tank top.
And we got all the men right now utilizing the same technique from the last heat, except Jason Hopper. He's choosing to keep his arms completely straight, put more of that pressure on his quads and his low back the whole time. The rest of the men are getting a touch of reprieve or rest by reducing the time under tension with that slight pull with their arms and biceps.
Krennikov looks to be the first man to the top, followed closely by Pat Vellner. Fikowski sits in 3rd. Adler's starting to creep up on Fikowski, and Jason Hopper's in that race for 3rd place in the heat as well. And Roman is just going to go ahead and hydroplane his way down the hill. Pat Vellner chooses to stay on his feet, and Vellner is now in the lead.
I love it, and Roman is literally laughing as he hops up. I mean, that was...
Olsen doing the same thing.
It's awesome. Laura said she didn't do it on purpose. It looked like both those guys did.
Roman Krennikov has managed to regain the lead here as he works his way back to the fat bells.
Now this is it, Sean. Did they find a rhythm, and did they create one? This is going to be the tell-all. They're going to get through these lunges. They're going to be unbroken. And now the question is, how do the latter 20 ground to overhead go for these athletes? We watched something unique from Roman, so let's keep our eye on that. He's using outside of the legs. He's touching the fat bells to the outside of his feet. Everyone else is going inside, and we'll see if that change in strategy creates an advantage for him.
4 scored reps here. At the 61 rep mark is when they will start those ground to overhead, and then we'll get back to 1 rep for 1 scored rep. There is Noah Olsen, who currently sits in 5th place in the heat. Red shorts. Krennikov puts the fat bells down, and he'll get to work on his 20 ground to overhead.
Roman took approximately about 11 to 12 seconds there before he got a rep of the clean and jerks done. So not a long time, didn't really waste, didn't take his time to dry his hands or chalk.
Roman going on the outside here. We haven't seen this.
Right, yeah, and that was something that I mentioned earlier a couple times. And watch, I love how smooth it is for him. It's a transition. He starts narrow, touches the kettlebells or the fat bells, and then he steps laterally in order to set up for an appropriate push press overhead. He's looking smooth. He's actually linking bigger sets than we've seen any athlete do thus far in the event, both men and women.
Jason Hopper currently sits in 2nd place.
Now the advantage to what Roman's doing is it really does create a bit more of a stretch reflex. What I mean by that is his chest drops even lower towards the ground than a lot of these other athletes, but it does take out the muscles under your thighs, the adductors, which are already under a tremendous amount of fatigue from everything else, including the lunge that these athletes just did. I think this is a wise choice from Roman.
See the race to the podium in the bottom left-hand part of your screen. Pat Vellner with a 90-point lead, relatively safe to at least get a spot in the top 3. But Adler and Krennikov still have a ton of work to do because Jason Hopper, he's only 25 points back at Adler for 2nd place as Roman Krennikov is now done moving back to the bike for 30 final calories. Krennikov looking to pick up his 2nd event win of the competition. 9:04.75 seconds from Dallin Pepper is the time to beat, but anytime you get Roman Krennikov on a bike, that guy's going to be hard to catch.
See ya. See ya. I wish it on the back of his shirt, that's what it said. See you later. Because that's exactly what these athletes can be in store for. You're going to get head-to-head against Roman, and you're going to lose on an erg like this. He's got tremendous amount of mental fortitude, and he's got the power and capacity to go with it. So he's sitting there on that bike knowing that he's got it locked up for where he wants to finish.
Jason Hopper is now the second man to the bike right next to Krennikov. Hopper in second place. 81 reps is what they're going to hit here before they move to the bike. So Fikowski, Adler, and Vellner looking to be the next men to this final portion of the event, and it is going to be Brent Fikowski, followed by Travis Mayer. And now Vellner is moving up.
This is where it starts to get a little sticky. You see Hopper's body position change. He leans forward. He's picking up the pace tremendously. Roman's still keeping a high rate of RPMs, but he remains in a very consistent stature. This guy owns the Echo bike when it comes to posture.
That's Jeff Adler who made it to the bike. It was not Travis Mayer. Mayer now getting there as Krennikov is off. And Roman Krennikov is not going to win the event. That will go to Dallin Pepper. But that might be good enough for second place and 95 points for Krennikov. Now Jason Hopper is off. Hopper will take second place in the heat. Chandler Smith in the blue shirt. He's going to be the last man to the bike. Smith coming off that event win last night that moved him up to sixth place overall. He won the event with a lift of 605, and then he kept 610 pounds on the barbell and decided to put on a show for the crowd as Jeff Adler is across. Adler's going to take third place. Vellner and Fikowski are in. I think Fikowski beat Vellner across, but not by much. A little more than a second, or less than a second, between Fikowski and Vellner. Travis Mayer is now your leader on the field. He's off, and Mayer is in.
BKG with 3 more calories to go. 4 more calories to go for Noah Olson.
Noah Olson, far side of the field, trying to get through this bike as Gudmundsson is off just ahead of him. And Bjorn Carl Gudmundsson beats Noah Olson in that race. Chandler Smith, what an effort for him as he gets across. He was the last man to the bike, but manages to beat Jay Crouch across the finish. Dallin Pepper's going to get the event win.
Wow.
Roman Krennikov's going to take maybe second place.
Great execution there by Dallin Pepper to be in Heat 1 and still take an event win. That is big time. And you know what? That's when it's like, oh man, I'd love to see Dallin and Roman go head to head at this and really get to see who would, because would that have pushed Roman just a touch more on the bike, or would he have done his transitions faster? All those things are things that you wonder, but that's, man, great execution by Dallin. Roman did exactly what he needed to do there to win that heat.
Well, assuming no one gets between Hopper and Adler, Roman Krennikov, at worst, is only going to trail Adler by 5 points now for second place overall. Pat Vellner's lead is going to shrink, but he still is in good position on top of the overall standings.
Yeah, and when we look back at this particular event, Roman led pretty much the entire way until he decided to have a little fun instead of taking it so serious down the hill. Hey, I'm here to have a good time. I know what I'm here to do. Pat Vellner was like, nah, I'm seizing this opportunity. I'm going to stay on my feet and just run by. But Roman knew what he was doing. He paced this thing appropriately. He did something that none of the other competitors through the entire field, both men and women, have done, which is these clean and jerks outside of his legs. And it paid off for him. It allowed him to be efficient. And we knew that a lot of time was going to be spent on the Echo bike. And let me tell you, there's no one better in our sport on an Echo bike than Roman Krennikov on the men's side. And once he got there and was the first one there, he knew exactly what he needed to do to keep a pace to win. I don't know if he had Dallin Pepper's time in the back of his head, but if he did, Dallin Pepper put up a heck of a fight to keep the win for the event overall, but Roman got a heat win right there.
Heat win for Roman Krennikov. He'll take second, so that's 95 points. Well, Pat Vellner is going to take